If I asked you right now, do you consider yourself the creative type? Chances are you'd immediately say no. Most of us operate under the creativity myth. This is the cultural assumption that creative ability is a fixed genetic trait given at birth, much like having brown eyes. We see this divide in almost every modern office. We separate the designated designers and artists from the grown-ups sitting in the boardroom down the hall. By treating imagination as an exclusive club, we leave our most powerful, everyday problem-solving tool completely dormant. Childhood behavior tells a different story. As kids, we all naturally experimented, built strange structures, and created without fear of being wrong. That fear usually arrives during a specific moment called a creativity scar. A single instance of social judgment or rigid educational testing often convinces us to permanently opt out of being creative to avoid the risk of being wrong.
Geshe Thupten Jinpa, the Dalai Lama's translator, noted that the Tibetan language lacks a distinct word for creativity. Their closest translation is simply the word for what is natural. Creativity functions as a baseline cognitive muscle. Like any other physical ability, it can atrophy from decades of disuse or learned fear. Unblocking this capacity requires a specific methodology rather than learning a brand new talent from scratch. That methodology is creative confidence. It is a two-part equation: the belief in your ability to create change, combined with the courage to take action. Applying this equation requires you to adopt what psychologists call a growth mindset. A fixed mindset assumes intelligence and talent are permanently capped. The growth mindset views true human potential as unknowable and expandable through effort. Within this framework, continuous effort and repeated experience serve as the exact mechanisms that expand your capability over time. Without this shift in perspective, most people remain trapped in their comfort zone, afraid that attempting something new will reveal the limits of their abilities. The single largest obstacle blocking that progress is a visceral fear of failure, the unknown, and being judged by others. Psychologist Albert Bandura studied how to dismantle these instinctive blocks by treating patients who were paralyzed by a fear of snakes. Bandura utilized guided mastery, a process of exposing patients to their fear in tiny, survivable increments. They would look through a mirror, then stand in a doorway, until their paralyzing dread was replaced by courage. These clinical findings establish the concept of self-efficacy. This is the learned conviction that you can accomplish what you set out to do in the world. This reality debunks the myth of the flawless creative genius. The mathematics of innovation show that successful creators simply run a much higher volume of experiments. Creative confidence arrives when you reframe failure as a necessary, survivable data point in an ongoing experiment. Shifting to a do-something mindset requires a transition from passive observation to rapid action. Perfectionism and overplanning often act as defense mechanisms to mask a fear of getting started. To overcome this, you must commit to messy, continuous improvements instead of a single perfect result. Visual thinking lowers these stakes. This top row of stick figures demonstrates how simple lines can convey human emotion. Complex business actions and relationships can then be mapped using basic block and blob shapes. Taking immediate, imperfect action, like drawing a crude sketch, bypasses the fear of judgment and immediately forces the creative muscle to engage. We see these mechanics in the work of Doug Dietz at GE. He applied empathy and rapid prototyping to transform a terrifying MRI machine into a pirate-themed adventure for pediatric patients. This skill is a universal tool. Nurses, lawyers, and office managers can layer these methods onto their daily duties to initiate positive change in their communities. Steve Jobs famously argued that everything in modern society resulted from decisions made by people no smarter than yourself. He believed in the power to actively mold life, the idea that once you poke it, something pops out the other side. Reclaiming this capacity depends on believing in the talents you already have. It begins with the courage to take a single small step.